Hello everybody, and welcome back to Mooncrafter Nails and More. As promised, we're going to be doing printing photographs on nails today. And I don't mean jamming your fingers in your printer, but something like that. To do this, we're going to need some regular printing paper, some tissue paper or tracing paper, tape, white fingernail polish, clear polish, the polish of your choice for your actual mani, the usual mani supplies, scissors, and or a paper punch. Now, basically, what we're going to do is we're going to take regular old printer paper. We're going to do a layout of whatever you want to print. Here I have some pictures of unicorns. Here I have some actual photographs. This is my husband's classic car. This is my mother. This is my dog. And you're going to print it out on regular paper a couple times till you get the size right. Now, every printer being a little different, you'll find that you'll need to increase the dots per inch, the DPI, or the resolution, depending on what yours uses as settings. And that's because you're going to go so small with it, you don't want it to look like Minecraft, you know, when it's little pixels. You want it to stay looking like a photograph that's identifiable. So most scanners and most photos are 300 DPI, dots per inch. We want at least 600, maybe 1200, depending on how small you're getting, because of course, if this is at 300 DPI and I shrink it to this size, you know, and it started out this size, it's going to be a bunch of pixels, so that's not going to help. So you'll have to play within your own photo program. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what it has to be. What I do is I put down a color box and then I just cut these out. Or I find if I do a Google search for something like this, I'll do a .png search. So I'll do unicorn.png, and that's my search. And what that does is it gives me a unicorn that's already been cut out. So I just got to drag it and drop it. If it's something that I've fallen in love with and I have to have, and it's not cut out, generally speaking, there's freehand cut or there's edge finder cut in most photo programs that allow you to cut something out of a background. Like I did with my mother's head here, and I did with my husband's car, and I did with my dog. But my mother's head, this is her graduation photo, so I had to cut around it, and then I colored off her graduation cap because I didn't want the cap. So depends on your level of skill. If you don't have that kind of skill, you can use the whole photo. That's fine too. And then you can just kind of sponge your fingernail polish around the background after you get it on your nail and make it go away. So once you've decided, okay, in my photo program, I can print 3.5 by 5s, I can print 4 by 6s, etc. And when I print this out at this scale, it's pretty good for this size nail. And this scale is good for about a pinky, but it's too small for anything else. So I'm going to print them mostly at this size, but I might do them one size larger even, like these. And that'll be good for like my thumb. So this unicorn here, I could use at the edge of my thumb because he's that size. That one there, I'd be able to use on my thumb, etc. Okay? So once you know what size, make yourself a note. All right? All right, I want to print these out at such and such. And when you save it on your computer, you might want to save for or print for nails at 4 by 6 or print for nails at 3.5 by 2.5 or 3.5 by 5 or whatever size works for you. That's how you save it. That way you'll always know if a year from now you go to get it out again, you'll know. Then let's say you're going to use tissue paper, your regular everyday wrapping white tissue paper. You're going to cut this slightly smaller than the sheet of paper. All right, so this is 8.5 by 11. We want to cut these maybe 8 by 10.5. You can do it by simply laying the paper on it, shifting it down a little bit, drawing a line around, and then just cutting on that line. Then we're going to tape it to a piece of paper. See, I have this taped at the top edge and a little bit down here. Mostly my tape is here because this is the edge I'm going to feed into my printer. You need to know on your printer whether it prints the side that you feed this way or does it flip it over and you have to put it down face first. If you're not sure, when you do your test prints on the regular sheet of paper, put an arrow going this way and lay this in your printer. If it prints on this side and everything is face up this way, you know that you put your paper in this side up with this is the side I want to be printed, so this would be your tissue side. I hope that's clear. If it comes out and the printing's on this side, but your arrow's on this side, then you know it prints upside down. And when you put it in the printer, you have to put it tissue side down. Now, I hope that makes sense. All right, let me set up a sheet. I'll be right back. Okay. Now, before we go to tape on, we need to know one thing about tissue paper. And tracing paper is the same way. When they're formed, one side is very much smoother, so it's almost like it has a waxy coat. It doesn't, but it's almost as though it does. And if you moisten your fingers and you grab the tissue paper like this and you let go, one side will always hold on. One side is grippy. So one side is like a little more absorbent, okay? So we know this side is the more absorbent side. This is the side I want to tape up, so the paper would be underneath. So I want this paper, and then I'm going to tape on my tissue, just with a little bit of tape here, just you know, at the top and the bottom. I'm not worried about the sides, but I just need that little border of room so I have someplace to put tape. That's all I need. Same with tracing paper. Tracing paper has the same thing. It's a little more absorbent on one side than the other. Then I'm going to run it through my printer with whatever size I decided I needed. Okay, now these are a little too large, but they kept it for a reason. In your printer, it'll ask you what kind of paper you're printing on. Regular paper? Well, it's going to put out, let's say for the sake of argument, 5 dots of ink per section, because it's going to absorb. But if you use something like a transparency, which is basically a piece of plastic, a clear piece of plastic, it's only going to put out 1 dot of ink because it can't absorb. So if I print this out for transparency, I get less ink, so it won't bleed. But for the transparency, that was a little too light. So then I changed it to matte photo paper. And I don't know if you can see, I'm sure you can, how much darker this came out, because I printed it as though I was printing on matte photo paper. This was transparency. See how much darker? So I tried it on glossy photo paper, transparency, matte photo paper, regular paper, and what else? Oh, it had other photo paper. So what worked best for my printer, which I guarantee you is not going to necessarily be the same for yours, was matte photo paper. That was the best result. Once I got them printed out and decided what I wanted, I just slipped my tape, my scissors under my tape, and just cut off my tissue paper, separate it from the paper. Okay, this is what I have here. And then, once I've decided which of these I'm going to use, I flip it over and I paint white on the back. Why? Because it's transparent. It's tissue paper. Light comes right through that. If I were to put that on a black nail, I'm going to lose a lot of color, because you know what printers don't do? They don't print white. They just leave that part black, or blank, I'm sorry, black. So here's a picture of my mother, and if I put that on a black nail, it looks pretty gray. But if I paint it white before I put it on, the color remains. Okay? So we paint the back of whichever ones we're going to use white. You can do 2 coats if you'd like. Once that's dry, you flip it over, and then I want you to do a clear coat on those. And what it does is it darkens it a little bit, stabilizes it a little bit. Okay. Like so. And we're going to let that dry. Then, once it's dry, you can either cut out close to the figurine. You could cut a heart shape, a square, a rectangle, what have you. You can use a paper punch and get some really cute, like stars, hearts, you name it, little circles. I have a circle set, which allows me to do all kinds of sizes of circles, but I'm just going to cut it out today because I'm going to put these on a black nail, which is why I printed it on black. Let's say, for the sake of argument, I wanted to do this on a galaxy background because it's unicorn, but I knew I would never in a million years be able to match the polish galaxy to the background galaxy. I would print the galaxy, do what I'm doing with the white paint and the clear paint, and then I'd cut out a heart, or maybe a star would be more appropriate, And then I would apply it to a separately colored nail. So maybe like a purple nail or blue nail, you know, something that doesn't have a galaxy so it doesn't look like I'm trying to match it. In this particular case, I'm going to use a black polish and this. And then if I get close and, you know, the black polish is a little different in color, I'll just kind of sponge it onto the paper to blend it with the background, and nobody will ever notice. Okay. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll be back again. Okay, I wanted to share with you how I do a bit of a gradient with a gel. I'm going to do these fantasy glitters from Born Pretty. They're flakies. I'll give you the information in the box below, as usual. But I double load a brush with the gel, which you can't see. I put a dot of one color on this side, lighter color on that side, and just drag the brush through it back and forth and back and forth. And then I will paint the tip pink and the base. I'll put down a base of the full color like this, and then I'll just paint the tip pink. Then making sure you have the dark at the right side and the light at the right side, you just drag it over several times and it'll give you a blended look like so. And if you have a real light spot like that, you can dab it off with your finger, wipe off your excess as always, this stuff, and then 30 seconds under the LEDs. Okay, be right back. Okay, I've added a clear gel top coat. Has to be gel or it won't stick very well. You can use it. I'm sure you've seen Simply Nailogical and others do it with where they just basically push it on like this and you get a different look, which is fine. So basically I'm burnishing it in so I get a little more all over look. Now on these nails, this absolutely has a pink cast. As you can see, it's pink, green, yellow. On the blue, however, it's got a lot more green. It looks a lot more scattered. Now on my other one, it stuck better. So I don't know if I didn't have this one under the light long enough or what have you. But this is a no wipe top coat. And once I have it burnished in, as much on there as I want, I don't worry about what's on my skin because that'll come off when I wash my hands or if I use a brush after. Okay. Put the lid on this stuff because just breathing on it makes a mess. You're going to be glittery for a while. But it's the Born Pretty Store product number 39252. Then, didn't clean my brush, so I'll have to grab a different brush. One moment. Okay, I'll just take a big artist brush here. This is something I have to dust off what I can. But I'm just trying to get that smooth because I like it when it looks smooth. It has a nicer glossy, almost chrome. I'm sure my husband would describe it as pitted chrome. Look. I'm just going to top these three with clear, and then I'm going to paint this one black. I didn't have any black gel, so I want to put a coat of gel, and I'll just use regular black polish on top of that. And that's where my unicorn's going to go. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I have the pink nails topped with a clear gel, and now I'm going to drip a big... Can't believe that happened. But I'm going to top this with Seche Clear. Not so sweet because I don't necessarily want anything that's going to fast dry on me. So I want to set that decal in it, and I don't necessarily want to have to hurry. I want some time to maneuver it to where I want it. Alright, close enough. So I have it trimmed out as you can see, and I'm going to set it on the wet polish. Make sure I don't have any polish on my fingers. See, it's very thin and easy to maneuver. Just going to get it where I want it. a little bit of overhang so I can sand it off so it does look like it's peeking off the nail. Like so. Now, unlike a decal, I can't erase this with acetone. That's just not going to work. So, I'll trim away what I can with scissors. And then once everything dries, I'll sand off that rest. Okay. So I'm going to let that sit just a minute and get a little firmer. And I will be right back. Okay, now that it's quite dry, I'm just going to lightly drag an emery board over that edge until the paper rolls away. Okay. Now I have a touch of her nose sticking off there that I should have slid it down a little more. But that's actually quite an easy fix because it's a white unicorn. So all I gotta do is touch a little white down there. Okay. And if my black sticker and my black background are not matching well, which mine seems to be doing pretty good actually, I can take a little bit of polish and just kind of touch it in there. And then go in with my finger and kind of just tap it so that it kind of pull off the excess. Alright. I'll let that dry a little bit. I'll top it with sachet vite and I'll be right back. Okay, all done. And on my other hand, I did a photo of my mom to remember her for Mother's Day. She passed away in 1991, a long time ago, and I miss her terribly. Yeah, I was going to say that photo's a little more focused than that. I still have some cleanup to do, but that's nothing new for me. I do hope that if you do this, and you have this whole sheet of printouts, don't throw it away. Get a Ziploc bag, a file folder, anything, and keep these. Because a year from now, you're going to want to do unicorns again. Or somebody else is going to say, how'd you do that? And you can say, well, here you go. And you'll be their best friend for life. Please feel free to ask any questions you may have. Just get in touch through social media, email, down below. And I will do my best to answer you as quickly as possible. I do hope you all have a wonderful week. Be well and stay positive.